So this is a continuation of your 5.2 notes. We took the first page, or we did the first page in class, so I'm not including that in the video. Here we're talking about how we're going to use the fact that we have all this information on this unit circle and evaluate certain things. So it's going to be pretty rare we're going to use a calculator, but when you do, just make sure you're paying attention to when you're in degree or radian mode. It can royally mess up your values. So, these are two different units we talked about in class and how they differ. So just make sure you're checking out your mode in whatever calculator you're using. So in class, we talked about how tangent of t, so in class we called it theta, your book is using t as your angle, is the ratio of y over x. Now, one thing we want to pay attention to is that in this, we are telling you this coordinate is on the unit circle. And remember, that's important because then when we know we're on the unit circle, we know our radius is 1. That is a really rough looking one. So we know tangent of t is y over x. That will be the case no matter what because it's not involving my radius whatsoever. In other words, in our triangle, it's not involving my hypotenuse. Well, cosecant of t is equal to 1 over y. Well, we're getting that because in class we figured out that sine of t is opposite over your hypotenuse. So your reciprocal would be 1 over y. They're stating this, y can't be 0 because we can't divide by 0. Secant of t, well, that's the reciprocal for cosine. And in class, we found out that was adjacent over hypotenuse, so we just got x. So the reciprocal then would be secant, that's your reciprocal function, and it would be 1 over x. Again, x can't be 0 because we can't divide by 0. Y can't be 0 in this one, again, because we're dividing by y. But remember, this is just the reciprocal for tangent, which we just discovered in class is y over x, so it's just its reciprocal, which is x over y. So for this example, they're letting us know that we are inputting into this function t is a real number. That's important. And that this coordinate is in fact on the unit circle. So when we read this, when we see, oh my gosh, it's on the unit circle, it is fair to just look at this coordinate and be like, oh man, so sorry. And that's my dog. So we are going to assume, since it's on the unit circle and that information was given to us, that sine is our y value and cosine is our x value. But just to prove that's the case, here's our xy plane. Because my x is positive and my y is negative, I'm going to draw my triangle in the fourth quadrant because this is where my x's are positive and my y's are negative. This is claiming my x value is 1/2. It's claiming my y value is negative root 3 over 2, which I know is a bit strange, but remember that negative is just helping us with direction. So it's just saying move down, then move up. And this is our hypotenuse, which I'm going to call r because it is the radius of our circle. Let's see if I can be, I don't think I'll be, well, it's not that bad. There's our circle right there. Well, if I wanted to see what our radius is, I would do Pythagorean theorem. So I get 1/4 plus, well, negative root 3 squared is positive 3. 2 squared is 4. When I add these fractions together, I get 4 over 4, which is 1, and the square root of 1 is 1. I did not have to do that work. I'm just proving to you that these two things line up. I did not have to do it because this tells me right here r is 1. In other words, your hypotenuse is 1. So Life is good. You can do sine of t. Well, that will be our y value since I'm on the unit circle. And then my reciprocal, which is cosecant of t, is just the reciprocal of that. Now we talked about this and we can't leave it like that, so I have to multiply by root 3 over root 3. And I end up getting negative 2 root 3 over 3. It does not matter where you put your negative, as long as just your ratio is negative. Then I have cosine of t is 1/2. Well, that reciprocal is secant, and that would be 2 over 1, or just 2. Tangent of t, we discussed, is going to be y over x. But we can't leave it like that. It's too messy. So remember back in the day with fractions that you multiply by the reciprocal when you're dividing. And so your 2's reduce out, and we end up getting negative root 3. Well, my reciprocal for this guy is cotangent. The reciprocal for this, well, this is understood to be above a 1, so it would be negative 1 over root 3. But can't leave it like that, right? So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by root 3. And you do that because it's a 1 and you're not changing the problem, so you get negative root 3 over 3. Okay.